Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Eddie Marcus here. I got to take a little bit of time and share something with you, perhaps a message some of you may have heard and some have not. The subject tonight is death, the door to eternal life. We all live in a time and in a body, in a situation where we understand living represents maybe getting to sleep, awakening from the sleep, getting up, doing your routine things, and do this repeatedly, day after day, month, years after years, and then extend that process for as far as you can, and then it's over. But in the meantime, you deal with life according to the situation that you find yourself in. Could be complicated, could be easy. We hope and try to keep faith alive by going to churches, listening to the various orators, speaking on the words of the Bible. And we look at our leaders, politicians, and we watch them do the things they do. And we live in a society that reflects exactly where we as a people have come, not just as politicians or as preachers, but where we as people have come. If a society is running smoothly and beautifully and everybody's happy, that's a statement. If the society is chaotic, people suffering, going through this and that, that's a statement. And yet, while we can perceive how those who are in these situations escape the pains but reap the rewards, and how it could happen like that for so long, and then out of the blue it changes, and it can be the reverse. But what does death, being the key to eternal life? You see, living, as we mentioned earlier, is peace. Living is prosperity. Living is joy. And how do you attain this? How can we, living in an environment that has taught us everything we know, how can we attain that? The secret, ladies and gentlemen, is that every individual that is born comes into this earth, and it represents something. And I'm not speaking about what governments recognize you as property. I'm speaking of what the spirit, that which the life in this body that you carry, represents. And it represents, for males, they represent the atom. And for the female, she represents the helper or the breaker. And here we are in this situation that we don't understand. What in the world could that mean? It means you can be on the team, or you can be an distraction. Now, whatever the situation is, in reality is justice. But it is what it is. So, you understand that. What that basically means is this. When each individual is born, they have instilled in them the principles of life. Being a baby, you get a chance to see and receive treatment from others that you cannot do for yourself. And it is the best treatment. The things that you can do for yourself basically are built in such a way that it just happens, like breathe and opening your eyes when you awoke, and so on and so forth. Everybody doing it for you. That's teaching you. That's it. I mean, at a baby, you are learning how you should treat others. That's simple. But we grow up in a society that has said, oh, no to that. And they exercise themselves in the way that we all are familiar with. And so that becomes us. And all of the things that I've just mentioned represents the world. But when we come into the world as an Adam, the intent is not to change, but to be an Adam. When we come into the world, we see all of the chaos that's going on. We see those who are prospering and benefiting at the expense of others. We see all of that. This is the garden that we live in. And it needs to be gardened. It needs to be taken care of. And so when we come into the world, this is an avenue we can easily pursue if, my friends, we have matured to that level. If we have come through the cycle of growth to the point that we understand what's going on, but not only understand, we recognize solutions. And we commit ourselves based upon our maturity in the spirit to clean this garden, to weed out the grass, to give the true plants everything they need to grow. That's our purpose. And the female is to do what females do. Let's leave out the distraction. To do what females do. And females do it all. First of all, they give us a smile. And if the joy in our lives is so wonderful, we want to share it with others, then they give us children. They give us children. A woman gives us a helpmate as well. And then she's everything else and loving it. Now, where there's a distraction, you got the husband trying to go one way and the lady trying to go another way. And they're not going anywhere together. And separate with chains like that, they're not going individually any place. So something's got to give. Do the woman break and give to the man? Does the man break and give to the woman? Well, it really doesn't matter who breaks and gives to whom. It doesn't really matter except where they're going. If the one that breaks follows the other and the other is leading to the path of life, isn't that fantastic? But here's the key, ladies and gentlemen. Neither of these lead you to the path of life. You see, when you come into this world and you choose a path to clean it up, on that daily duty, you have joy, you have peace, and the things that you do are prosperous. Oh, the whole garden is coming at you, trying to weed you out, but you're ready for it. And you are cleaning here, you're cleaning there, and you're giving others that's supposed to be growing in this garden beauty, space to be beautiful. And if the challenge comes that is too big for you alone, because perhaps the plants are too far gone, it seems too far gone, and you are not qualified to meet the task. Not qualified because the help that you need to come from them isn't coming. And you can't do what they don't want. You can't inspire them, it's a lost matter. But even in that, you're cut down. You're cut down before you get a chance to get upset, before you get a chance to get bitter. You're cut down. And when you're cut down, it's like wakening from a nightmare. In the twinkling of an eye, you have a new birth. And the thing about it is that since you come into the world and you saw the path that you were on, you chose the path, and you're doing the path all you got. And you having that peace, you having that prosperity, you having that joy. Because the things of the world, though they belong to all humankind as a gift from the Maker, if the system does not permit it, then that is not what's happening. And though you need and require all of the things that the system has established, basically, and these things, ladies and gentlemen, represents the weeds and the junk in the garden. When I speak of weeding the garden, I'm really speaking about the turmoils of human experience. And yet, that challenge being what it is, the one that's led by the Spirit, resist. Though you require food, clothing, shelter, education, health care, you have a career of choice that came with you, and that you're sticking to. And you're not giving in to any bought situation. You see, what we have learned, ladies and gentlemen, is that the path to life, everybody's afraid of it. Because you have to stand up in all your situations. If you are an expression of life, you got to stand up in all situations. You got to give life its credit. And when you are cut down on the side where people don't understand, they're led by eyes, they don't understand. They think that what happened to you is something dreadful. But the dreadfulness comes because they will be missing what you had to offer. And by cutting you down, they are making it possible for you to be rewarded for everything that you did over here in this life expression. And now you are reaping the rewards. This is what we call life eternal, everlasting life. You see, when God made us, I'm telling you some stuff you don't know, and I don't know. I'm speaking according to the Spirit. It was a wonderful thing. It was as wonderful as when you and you're really ready to deal with life, and your significant other produce a child into this world. You planned for, wanted it so bad, now there it is. Fantastic thing. And that's what happened to us when we were made. But we were to be unique in that we were not to be robots. We were to be free. Free means having the ability or having choice. Having choice. And speaking according to that choice and walking as well. That makes us whole, unique. In other words, we can have what we want. How else can you please anyone except they can have what they want, what they desire, what they need? And it was made possible that whether you do or whether you don't is in your hand. And if it's in your hands, you've got no one else to blame. No one else to blame. So now here you are, having an understanding about life that others who do not know have. And so you have to carry yourself that way. And the blessing comes from, not from humankind, it comes from God. And you can do it. Now, every time you die, at the same time, that is the beginning of a new life. Every time anyone dies, it is the beginning of a new life. But that new life is an expression. It is a reflection of the choices you made in the present life. It is a reflection of the choices that you made in the present life. You see, this great Creator, in giving us choice, went from one extreme to the other. Couldn't just go for one. He had to go for each in order for you to maintain your freedom, in order for you to maintain choice. And so what I mean from beginning or ending in the farthest negative, or going to the opposite, to the farthest, the best, positive. And so in between are a stack of nothing but choices, and each choice leading one way or the other. But it's a choice that you, the people, have the liberty of making. The choices that you make will lead you exactly to where you end up. And that's justice and fair, and that's your choice. That's freedom. Now, one thing that's going on in the world that we very seldom pay attention to is that this is a school. We are learning here. We are here in this garden, not just to clean the garden up, not just to straighten everybody else out, but to be straightened out ourselves. Because we're just as messed up as anybody and anything. And so none of us can brag, except that we all need a cleansing. And that cleansing comes from the Spirit. And so here we are, having to make these choices. Now somebody look at a person who make all the negative choices that put them to the farthest end of the negativity. This, my friends, according to the God that I represent, the God of love, the God of you and I, makes it possible that your choices, if they are genuinely you, and this is what brings you happiness, this is of God. So if being the negative, the most negative you can be, makes you feel thrilled, makes you feel divine and heavenly, then that's where you belong. Why? Because God loves you as well. If altruism, treating people like you want to be treated, working together with people, and doing all those things that we call good, and treating people like we want to be treated as an honor to God, and that gives us peace, prosperity, and joy in those things we're seeking, that's what we deserve. But here is what comes. You got the negative and you got the positive existing in the same garden. When you are matured, when you have developed, and that means doing your work, destroying or building, or should I say destroying and building, there will come a moment in time for separation, a separation through death, whether, well, on the good side, on the positive side, you will be killed. You'll be killed. You'll get an early death. You won't be living too long. People complain about the fountain of youth. The fountain of youth is being alive, and being alive, you keep on going through the cycle of death, giving you a new birth. So that's what's happening to you. And those who decide to go the other way, they're going the other way, doing exactly what they're supposed to do. Exactly. But the whole point is to separate you. To separate you. If you want that peace I was just talking about, then that's where you belong. If you want peace through destruction and stuff, that's where you belong. But here's what's going to happen, because many of you thinking they kind of look a little crooked, look a little straight. But as I said earlier, whatever choices you make is going to lead you to where you end up. And where you end up is exactly where you're supposed to be. That's justice. That's your choice. And the Father, the Creator, made sure that you have your choice and that they could be satisfied. God could be satisfied. The Spirit would be satisfied with your choice. Here's what happened when the separation of the good from the ungood, if I can call it that, just so we can understand I'm talking about a negative and positive. Well, let me just leave negative and positive. If the good are all eliminated and nothing remains but the negative, then what was the motivating motor for the expression of the negative just flips on itself, because it has to have somebody to abuse. It has to. That's what negativity is all about. Having someone to abuse, to get over on somebody. Call it profit. Then they just turn over themselves. And what they hated or rejoiced the most before now flips the script. If they hated it before, now they love it. If they loved it before, now they hate it. They brought themselves, that's their choice. And that doesn't mean that they're going to all of a sudden make a big change and want to be good. That doesn't mean that at all. It could mean that, but it also could mean that the game keeps going on because there's joy in the game. And the process continues. But where you're at, that choice is yours. And it's all good because the Father designed it and gave you choice. So it's all good. Now, if you know that, then when you come into the world, you don't be concerned about having a significant other. You don't be as concerned about having children. Why? Because you're in the garden, and this garden needs cleaning out. And you know that. You don't want to bring any child, innocent child, into this situation unless you're being led by a spirit to bring the child in, that you might train the child, and the child can be an instrument of the Father to work with you to cleanse out the garden. And if that's the way it's coming, then that's great. But that's your concern. And as you meet these challenges, just repeating myself, as you meet these challenges, you find out that you are learning. For instance, what I'm speaking to you about, I've repeated myself several times. I know that. And I did it because I know each time I changed it around a bit, I made it clear for someone who didn't understand it before. Even though I irritated you by repeating it, I reached those who had not received it. And the purpose, having said these things, is to concur with what you already know, is that it's talk. But a believer does the walking. And you don't have to wonder what a believer's thinking. You see through his actions or her actions what they're thinking, because they become it. So the key to this life is to let nothing take this life from you. Let the most fearful thing in the world challenge you, and that's death. And you stand up to it, knowing that death becomes the tool to free you from this hell. For those who want to live totally in the positive and not in the negative. You're going to straighten the negative out. Why? By straightening yourself out. It all comes back down to yourself, ladies and gentlemen. We can't blame our helpmate. The only one we can blame in this world about how we live is ourselves. Because none of us have to live in this mess. We have been given power to die on our own. We don't need anybody to kill us. We can die on our own and escape this. But we have chosen to be here. And having to grow up where no one seems to be tending the garden, we have become trash. And the little decency that we have remaining from our birth, from our spirit, keeps us afloat and hoping. And every now and then, someone is tuned and can receive the frequency that guides the spirit of life. And they do what needs to be done within a society, within a garden, within a community, to light the way. And then someone comes and crashes the bulb and frees that one from this darkness and leaves us in it. And if we've gotten anything out of it, we can use it. If we don't, we know the end of that story. So I'll say to you, ladies and gentlemen, death is not our enemy. Death is our friend. That goes against everything that we have been taught. That goes against everything we believe. And it is a horrible statement to you as far as you are concerned. But it is a statement of truth. It's a statement of love. And I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I feel just like you. I got to contemplate this matter. While I have been privy to this spirit, I have not just boldly come out and shared it with anyone. And now I do, because I see the truth. I have received the truth of it. Now, but that is for me. That is for me. And what's for me, what's good for me, to me, I figure is good for you. So I'm just sharing it with you. If it's good for you, use it. If it's not, trash it. Until next time, this is A. Marcus. Say bye-bye.